And welcome back. So, got you underneath the truck at this point in time. The item I'm looking into right now, or I should say that we're looking into right now, is our AC compressor. If you remember when we first did the upper engine rebuild, the AC compressor wasn't running. And when we reinstalled everything, I didn't show this in the video when we rebuilt the engine, that we tested the coil. I think I may have mentioned it though, but we did test this coil just using an external 12-volt supply. And basically power testing as well as resistance testing, it's shown as being shorted, which is why one of the reasons why our compressor seems to not kick in. Now you can see me turn the compressor manually, so it looks fine from the compressor standpoint. But you know, most automotive compressors, not all, but most automotive compressors are just an electromechanical clutch. And when it energizes the field coil, it pulls this pulley right here that's spinning in enough where it makes contact with the pulley that's being driven by the drive belt, kind of magnetically couples the two together, and then thus spins your compressor. So looking at the maintenance book for this, this coil, this whole clutch can be removed without taking the pressure off of the AC system. So I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to pull the drive belt, but I'm also going to see if we could change this compressor out, hopefully on the vehicle, without having to drop the compressor, you know, off the block, because now that everything's been installed, that would be a bit of an undertaking. Now I have the new field coil, but obviously we need to get the old field coil off first. Now this lower fan shroud, this lower piece here, you can see it's a lot cleaner of a color, just because I'm not disassembling it than this piece here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this lower fan shroud off, which actually we should just be able to, just to kind of show you this, these little ears here. If we pull up on our ears, we should be able to get this thing to separate again. Yeah, I'm going to need two hands to release it, but we should be able to release the tabs here and here and push these center tabs in to get this to release. And like I said, there you go. See, there's that side there. So you just kind of have to pull these away from these center pins and pull up on that release. And then this will kind of move forward and drop out. And you can remove the lower part of your fan shroud. And you can see that gives us a little bit more room between the compressor and here to play with. So I'm going to get started on this. And when we get it out, we'll do another resistance check. And I'll show you but I'll show you the resistance difference between the old coil that we're going to take off and the new coil that we're going to put on. But I'm going to go grab a shop light and then work on trying to get this field coil out of here, and I'll bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. So you can see that we got our clutch piece on that engages with our compressor. So we've got that off. We got a snap ring right in here that we're going to get a set of snap ring pliers on to remove next. But I'm going to show you what I did because as you loosen this up, the shaft part that's attached to the compressor is going to want to turn. I'll show you what I did, albeit good or not. I mean, the book says to use a strap wrench, but I didn't have a strap wrench, so I just used a pair of needle nose vice grips and just gingerly grabbed it on the outside edge here, held it in place, and was able to get the bolt to break loose. Now when you take this loose, be mindful of any washers or any shims that may fall out of this, because you're going to need those washers and shims to be able to put them back in the same spot you took them out of. So I'm going to get back to work on this and see about getting this snap ring out of here, and then I'll bring you back. Thank you much. And welcome back. So I got you zoomed into the meter here just to show you we got our old field coil off of our compressor. And when you get this piece off first, then you're presented with your first snap ring, which in my case is this one here, that sets like this. That'll be directly underneath that first piece. Then once you get this pulley off, which in my case thankfully just slid off, which is excellent, then you'll see your field coil underneath that, and then finally one more snap ring that you see here, which fits down in here to hold this in place. So you're definitely going to need a nice set of pretty, you know, not pretty, but some deep reaching snap ring pliers to be able to get at least the snap ring that holds this one out. And then there's a Phillips screwdriver on the bit. There's a Phillips screw on the top of the compressor that holds this bracket in place where your electrical plugs in. But what I wanted to show you was a resistance reading across this coil. So I'm just hooking this up off camera, and I'll bring it back and show it to you. There we go. There's one lead there. Now I'm going to hook up to the other side of this coil. So this is all I'm doing is just measuring resistance across the two pins, and you can see that's about 2 ohms. That's fairly low enough that the book calls that a short in this coil. And when we hooked 12 volt power up to it before we dropped the motor in, when the compressor was more easily accessible, we saw that it was drawing an excessive amount of current and you couldn't hear it click. So now I'm going to get the replacement coil, which is this one right here, and this is a Mopar coil. Just show you that part number. There you go. Now we're going to do the same resistance check, and it looks like you'll have to take this metal bracket off of this connector because the replacement coil didn't come with it, so we'll have to reuse this. So I'm going to probe against our replacement coil, same way. We should see a much higher resistance reading. There we go, 5.1 per the book. That's what it should be. So you can definitely tell that this old coil is pretty far out of spec. Matter of fact, again, the coil calls the resistance reading, the range we were getting on an old coil, pretty much a shorted internal coil. So, and again, it's another step into troubleshooting our air conditioning system. You know, this should allow the compressor to engage, which will either tell us whether we've got another issue further down the line or that the compressor is even healthy at this point. So what we're going to have to do is go ahead and get this installed. Again, I'm just going to remove this bracket, transfer it over to this one, and this will go on first, and it does have a pin to orient it to get it on the right spot of the compressor. This wire obviously goes up. That bracket will help secure it, but the first snap ring that we need to put on is this one right here, and this one looks a little bit worse for the wear, but I'm going to see if I can reuse it, kind of tweak it back into shape a little bit, because it is a bit oblong, but it might be normal. Yeah, that might be normal. But again, I'm going to try to reuse it, and I'll let you know. I'll bring it back. But I'm going to go work on getting this this field coil back in, and I'll bring it back. Thank you much. And welcome back. So I just want to show you this here. You'll feel and see. You'll see this little groove right here that this pin in the back of this field coil rests in. So if you just kind of get that to where it needs to be, and there's a big square kind of locating tab here at the top where the wiring's coming out. And if we put this pin in that groove and that notch up at the top, you'll feel this field coil just kind of sit into position. And then at that point, we can go ahead and just tuck our wiring here out of the way. Yep, there we go. And then we'll get the first snap ring in and come back and start to secure everything. So again, you've got one snap ring, and then you've got the kind of the pulley assembly that will slide over this, and then another snap ring, and finally the end piece, which is held on by your bolt. So let me get that first snap ring, and I'll bring it back and show you what that looks like. One moment. And welcome back. Let me get you up in here so you can see this. So you can see that first snap ring in the base of that kind of holds that magnet in place. And if you've got a right angled set of snap ring pliers, fares a lot better for getting down in there and snapping that back into place. So I'm going to grab the next pulley we're going to put it on, and then its accompanied snap ring, and I'll bring you back. One moment. Hopefully you can see that there. We've got our main pulley on, and the bearing feels good. No, there was no need to change the bearing in this particular pulley. It's still nice and smooth. And we got our snap ring in place. So the next piece is going to be the piece that when you turn on the magnet, gets sucked down and locks the spline, which is the spline of the compressor shaft here, in with the rotating assembly of the pulley. So let me go grab that, and I'll bring it right back. And again, as you saw when we took this off, there was a little spacing washer underneath here. We're going to make sure that we retain that on the install. One moment. And welcome back. So you can see that we got our clutch part of our pulley on, and again, just spinning it here. You can see the compressor does spin. So again, what will happen is that now, hopefully, when we engage the air conditioning, it'll engage this electromagnet. This will get pulled down and make contact with the pulley piece that'll spin underneath, thus then spinning the air compressor. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I know you guys probably want to see this work, but I'm going to go ahead and cut. Well, actually, no, we got enough daylight out here. It's not too late. We can go ahead and start it and make sure that this is at least going to maybe fix it. At least verify that, see if that compressor will spin, and if it does spin, you know, are we good? I'll leave this lower fan shroud out until we're done testing, just to make it easier to see. But let me go grab the key, get her started, and I'll bring you right back. One moment. And welcome back. So I'm going to get you underneath here real quick. You'll have to forgive the noise. You can see our AC compressor is now spinning away just as it should. Awesome. Let's see if we're getting cold. Lines feel like they're getting a little cold. Yeah, we're getting warm. We're getting warm on one line, definitely. We're getting cold on the other. Yes, and I'm reaching in here. Just, if you're gonna do this, be careful. There's spinning parts, obviously. Now, it's pretty cool temperatures out here today, so it's not ideal to be running an air conditioner. But oh yeah, we're starting to cool down. Good news, good news. So we are on max. Yeah, pretty much max. Recirculate. I need to get a shop light because it's dark in here. Yep, well, we got to fix that. Those light switches are broke. They should push in and click. They're not clicking. Yeah, we're getting cooler. We're not very cool, but again, it could also be low on charge since it hasn't been running a while. And like I said, it's kind of cool temperatures out here right now as well. So that's going to affect things. Let's see, where are we at? Yep, we're at max AC. Oh, let's set this up to... I'll tell you what, let's go completely in our faces. Yeah, I want to say that, yeah, the outside temperature is only 62 degrees right now. So So I'm not expecting an adverse performance difference. But we got the main issue at least resolved for now. The compressor's running, which is good. And yeah, it may be underperforming just due to low refrigerant at this point, but that's something that could easily be serviced later. Okay, awesome. Let's go out there and see if we're still running. Yeah, you can see that from here. It's still running. Let me go turn it off and make sure it cycles off. Let's go ahead and turn that off. There we go. That should kill our compressor, or stop our or disengage our compressor, and it did. Awesome. That's exactly what we're looking for, so we'll consider that good. Go ahead and shut the truck down. Okay, and with that being said, I will cut the video at this point. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It does. I know a lot of people say this, and I know it sounds kind of routine, but it's true. It does go a long way to helping the channel out. Again, the more subscribers, the more growth. The more growth, the more we get recommended. The more subscribers we get, obviously it's a domino effect. It helps out the channel and allows us to do even more wild and things such as this. Allows us to bring even bigger things to the channel. So if you haven't already, please consider to do so. I will also link into the description the snap ring plier set that I purchased to do this job. I had to purchase a set. I didn't have any snap ring pliers, surprise surprise, prior to doing this job, because I haven't had to deal with anything that had snap rings up to this point, believe it or not. So I will have a link to that in the description below, and I shall let you go, and I do appreciate it. I'll bring you back for the next one. Thank you much. Bye.